You know what's funny? People act like the one who doesn't reach out first is the one who doesn't care. That's not true. Sometimes the person who stays quiet is the one fighting the hardest not to break their own boundaries. It's not that she doesn't think about you. It's that she's thinking about you all the time and still choosing herself. That's strength. That's discipline. And that's what most people don't have, because it's easy to text, it's easy to cave, it's easy to look for validation when you're feeling the void. But what takes power is restraint. It's knowing what reaching out would cost you, your self-respect, your growth, your peace, and saying, I'm not this time. She's not playing games. She's protecting her energy. And that's what growth looks like. It's quiet. It's not dramatic. It's not a performance. It's self-control behind closed doors. You see, she's learned something most people never do, that not every feeling deserves a reaction, that not every desire should be acted on, that sometimes walking away is the real show of love for yourself. Because when you spend your time chasing someone who doesn't meet you halfway, you teach yourself to settle for less. And that's not who she wants to be anymore. She's thinking about you, yes, but she's also thinking about the version of herself she's becoming. And that version doesn't need to chase to feel valued. She's focused on building something bigger than attention. She's building peace. She's rebuilding trust with herself. Because the truth is, every time she chooses not to reach out, she proves she can rely on her own strength. Every time she resists that impulse, she becomes a little more unshakable. And maybe you'll never see it. Maybe you'll just feel her absence. But make no mistake, that silence is not weakness. It's transformation. What people don't get is that sometimes thinking about someone doesn't mean you should go back. Sometimes it means you're healing. Sometimes it means you're learning what love should feel like: steady, mutual, consistent, not confusion, not chasing. So yeah, she can't stop thinking about you, but she's also thinking about why she had to walk away. And every time she remembers, she becomes more certain she made the right choice. There's power in that kind of quiet strength, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself. The kind that shows up in how she carries herself, how she speaks, how she doesn't flinch when your name comes up. She's done explaining her worth. She's done proving she cares. She's learning that sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. Because when you stop running after people, you create space for the ones who are running toward you. And that's the shift when she finally understands that her peace is more important than being understood. That thinking about you doesn't mean she owes you her energy. That healing doesn't mean reaching back. She's still thinking about you, yes, but not in the same way, not with longing, with gratitude, because you were the lesson that taught her how to stay true to herself, even when her heart tried to pull her in another direction. Silence is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. When she doesn't reach out first, people assume she's cold, detached, or indifferent. But the truth is, silence can carry more emotion than words ever could. It's not that she doesn't think about you. She probably does, often. It's that she's learned to pause before acting on every thought or feeling. That's the difference between someone who reacts and someone who has grown. She knows that reaching out might feel good for a moment, but could cost her peace for days. And she's not willing to make that trade anymore. There's courage in sitting with the discomfort of missing someone and still not breaking your own boundaries. Her silence isn't an act of punishment. It's a form of self-preservation. She's protecting the version of herself she's fought hard to build. The one that doesn't chase closure, doesn't beg for attention, and doesn't mistake contact for connection. When she stays quiet, she's choosing to honor her emotional progress. Maybe she used to send that first message, make that first call, reopen that same door over and over, but not anymore. She knows that reaching out first doesn't always fix what's broken. It can reopen wounds that were just beginning to heal. Her silence is her way of saying, I've learned this lesson already. People forget that not everyone processes love and loss the same way. Some people talk it out, some distract themselves, and then there are those who sit with their thoughts until the waves calm down. She's one of those people. She feels deeply, but she's learned not to let those feelings control her actions. That's why she doesn't reach out, because she knows feelings are temporary, but actions leave impact. She's thinking of the bigger picture, the one where she values her emotional balance more than a fleeting sense of connection. That takes maturity most people never reach. The quiet isn't emptiness. It's discipline. It's awareness. It's the pause between what she wants to do and what's actually best for her. There's a lot of strength in that moment of pause, the space between impulse and intention. That's where self-respect lives. She's learned that if someone really wants to stay, they will. She no longer feels the need to carry both sides of the connection. Silence is her way of stepping back and allowing the truth to reveal itself. If it fades, it was never solid. If it returns, it'll do so on its own. Either way, she wins because she stayed true to herself. Her silence speaks volumes, even if no one hears it. It says she's grown past the need for external reassurance. It says she's tired of being the one to always initiate, to always fix, to always give. It says she's finally prioritizing herself. The world often confuses silence with weakness, but she knows better. Silence is where she regains her power. It's where she finds peace in the chaos. It's where she learns that not saying anything at all can sometimes be the loudest thing you ever do. Restraint is one of the hardest things a person can practice, especially when emotions are involved. It takes incredible strength to want to reach out, to want to say something, to want to bridge the silence and still choose not to. Most people mistake this for indifference, but it's actually one of the deepest forms of self-control. She's not holding back because she doesn't care. She's holding back because she finally understands the cost of always giving in. Every time she acted on impulse in the past, it left her drained, disappointed, and questioning her worth. Now she's learned that her peace is too expensive to keep trading for moments of temporary comfort. Restraint isn't about pride, it's about power. It's the ability to manage yourself when your emotions are begging you to do the opposite. It's easy to send a message. It's easy to try to fix something that feels broken. But it's hard to stay still, to breathe through the ache, and to trust that if it's meant to be, it won't need to be forced. She's realized that acting on impulse often brings short-term relief but long-term regret. So now she chooses patience over reaction. She's not suppressing her emotions. She's mastering them. She knows what it feels like to lose control, to give away too much, and she's not willing to repeat that cycle anymore. When she chooses restraint, it's not because she's detached from the outcome. It's because she's deeply aware of how much she's grown. She no longer needs to prove her loyalty through constant communication or her love through constant effort. She's learned that real strength lies in self-discipline, the kind that says, I could, but I won't. That decision doesn't come from weakness. It comes from wisdom. It's the kind of wisdom you gain after realizing that every time you chase peace through another person, you lose a little more of your own. Restraint is the boundary between her past and her progress. There's also a quiet confidence that comes with restraint. It's the confidence of knowing that what's meant for her will stay and what isn't will fall away. She doesn't need to force alignment. She doesn't need to remind anyone of her worth. She's done proving herself through effort that's not reciprocated. Now, her silence and restraint are a test, not for the other person, but for herself. Can she sit with the discomfort? Can she trust herself enough not to reach for what once hurt her? Every time she resists, she's reinforcing her self-worth. Every time she holds back, she's teaching herself that she is her own source of stability. Restraint is not the absence of emotion. It's the presence of discipline. It's her choosing not to chase a feeling, not to give power to impulses that no longer serve her. It's her building emotional muscle. Because just like physical strength, control takes practice. She's not avoiding connection. She's choosing alignment. She's learning that real love, the kind that's right, won't demand she abandon herself to keep it. So she practices restraint not out of fear, but out of faith. Faith that whatever is meant for her won't require her to lose herself to get it. There comes a point when she finally realizes that chasing someone's attention is the fastest way to lose herself. For so long, she thought love meant effort, constant, endless effort. She believed that if she just tried harder, reached out more, showed up again and again, maybe the other person would finally see her worth. But what she didn't understand back then was that real love doesn't require convincing. It doesn't require you to beg for the bare minimum. Love that's genuine flows both ways. It's not a pursuit, it's a partnership. And now she's no longer willing to keep running after something that was never meant to stay. That's not giving up, it's waking up. Choosing self-love over chasing someone else is not easy. It takes unlearning everything she was taught about what it means to care. Society glorifies the idea of never giving up on someone, but sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is walk away. Because when you're the only one fighting for something, it's no longer love, it's self-sacrifice. She's done pouring her energy into one-sided connections. She's learned that love that costs her peace isn't love at all. Every time she chooses herself, she's reclaiming power from the patterns that used to break her. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. She knows that the more she values herself, the less she'll tolerate people who don't. Walking away doesn't mean she doesn't care anymore. It means she's learned to care for herself just as much as she cared for others. There's a quiet kind of power in realizing that she doesn't need someone's approval to feel complete. She doesn't need attention to feel seen. Her worth doesn't depend on whether or not someone texts her back. She's no longer interested in proving that she's enough for someone who can't recognize it. Instead, she's investing in being enough for herself. That shift changes everything. It turns heartbreak into strength, pain into purpose, and loneliness into growth. When she chooses self-love, she's no longer chasing validation. She's chasing peace. She's chasing clarity. She's chasing the version of herself who doesn't settle for crumbs when she deserves the whole table. And that doesn't come from bitterness. It comes from experience. She's felt the emptiness that comes from giving too much. She's seen how exhausting it is to keep showing up for someone who won't meet her halfway. And she's finally decided she's done, not because she stopped loving, but because she's learned what love really means. It's mutual, respectful, balanced, and safe. Anything less isn't love. It's attachment disguised as connection. The greatest transformation happens when she realizes that her energy is sacred, that every time she chases someone who's not ready to meet her, she's delaying the love that's meant for her. Now, her focus is inward. She's building her confidence, her peace, her purpose. She's not waiting for anyone to choose her because she's already chosen herself. That's not selfishness. That's survival. It's her standing tall in her own worth, knowing that the love she gives to herself will always be more powerful than the validation she used to beg for. Healing is rarely loud. It's not about big gestures or dramatic endings. It's about the quiet moments where she learns to breathe again without reaching for someone else. Thinking about someone doesn't always mean she wants them back. It means she's still processing what happened, still understanding what that connection taught her. Healing doesn't erase the memories, it redefines them. It allows her to look at what once hurt and say, I understand now. She's not pretending she never cared. She's just learning that caring for someone and choosing to move on are not opposites. They can exist at the same time. That's the truth most people struggle to accept. Every time she feels that familiar ache, every time her mind drifts back to what could have been, she's healing. Because healing isn't linear. It's messy, inconsistent, and often confusing. Some days she feels completely over it. Other days, one small reminder brings everything back. But she no longer shames herself for that. She understands that healing takes time, and that thinking about someone doesn't mean she's regressing. It means her heart is still doing its work. She's allowing herself to feel it all without acting on it, and that's what growth looks like. Healing doesn't mean she forgets. It means she remembers differently. The emotions are still there, but they don't control her anymore. Distance plays a big role in her recovery. The space she's created isn't just physical. It's emotional, mental, and spiritual. It's her way of giving herself the clarity she couldn't have when she was caught in the middle of it all. In that space, she's learning to see things for what they truly were, not what she wished they were. She's realizing that some people come into our lives as lessons, not destinations. And the hardest part of healing is accepting that love alone isn't always enough to make something work. She's learning to forgive herself for what she didn't know, for what she tolerated, for what she tried to fix. That forgiveness is the bridge between heartbreak and peace. There's strength in choosing distance, especially when every part of her wants to go back. But she knows that healing requires separation. You can't rebuild yourself in the same environment that broke you. So even though she still thinks about him, she doesn't reach out. She's replaced reaction with reflection. Every time she resists the urge to reconnect, she reclaims a piece of herself that she once gave away. Slowly, she's becoming her own safe place again. That's what healing really is, not the absence of pain, but the return of peace. Her thoughts may still wander, but her focus has shifted. Now, instead of wondering what he's doing, she's wondering how she can keep growing. Instead of replaying the past, she's building her future. Thinking about him no longer hurts the same. It's softer, lighter, almost grateful. Because she finally understands that every person, even the ones who leave, help shape the person she's meant to become. Transformation doesn't always happen in moments of chaos. It often happens in silence, in the stillness of her decision not to reach out, not to chase, not to explain. She's evolving. She's learning what it means to be her own peace, to find calm in places where she used to feel chaos. It's not that she doesn't care anymore. It's that she's tired of letting emotions run her life. Her silence isn't distance. It's discipline. She's discovering that growth isn't loud or visible. It's a quiet shift in how she responds to the same situations that once broke her. Where she used to react with urgency, she now responds with grace. Where she used to demand answers, she now lets time reveal them. That's the beauty of transformation. It's subtle, but it changes everything. Her stillness is not emptiness, it's intention. She's not ignoring anyone, she's listening to herself, to her body, to her intuition. For the first time in a long time, she's not trying to fill the silence with someone else's words or energy. She's learning to sit in it and feel safe there. That's power. Because when you stop running from your loneliness, you stop giving it control. She's transforming the way she views solitude. It's no longer a punishment. It's a sanctuary. It's where she rebuilds her confidence, her clarity, and her identity outside of anyone else's influence. Every quiet moment she chooses is another brick in the foundation of the woman she's becoming. People might think she's cold or detached, but what they don't see is the inner work happening behind that silence. She's unlearning old habits, like seeking validation, explaining her worth, or proving her love. She's realizing that the most powerful version of her doesn't need to be seen or understood to be real. The transformation is inward, not outward. It's how she speaks to herself now, with kindness instead of criticism. It's how she handles disappointment, with patience instead of panic. It's how she values her peace more than being right or being heard. That shift is what makes her unstoppable. She's not the same person she was when she used to chase, and that's the whole point. The stillness has taught her something vital. She doesn't have to fight for what's aligned with her. She doesn't have to force love, prove loyalty, or beg for consistency. The people meant for her will match her energy, her effort, and her intentions without her having to lose herself. She's no longer afraid of silence because she's learned that silence is where transformation begins. It's where strength is built and clarity is born. It's where she stops being defined by who she loved and starts being defined by how she's grown. Her quiet is her evolution. Every day she doesn't react, she becomes stronger. Every time she chooses peace over proving a point, she's elevating. Her silence is not the absence of feeling, it's the presence of wisdom. She's no longer waiting for someone to validate her worth, she's embodying it. That's the kind of transformation that doesn't need to be announced. It speaks for itself in how she carries herself, how she moves forward, and how she no longer looks back. In the end, this is about evolution, the kind that happens quietly, without an audience, without needing anyone's approval. It's about the strength it takes to hold back, to choose yourself, and to walk away even when your heart still remembers. She's not reaching out first because she's weak or indifferent. She's doing it because she's learned what real power looks like. It's not in chasing what's uncertain. It's in trusting what's meant to stay. She's rewriting her story from a place of peace, not pain. And that's the kind of transformation that can't be undone. Thank you for listening, for reflecting, and for choosing growth over comfort. If there's one thing to take away, let it be this. Your silence, your restraint, your self-love, and your healing are not signs of distance. They are proof that you are becoming who you were always meant to be.